Welcome to the Scene Highlights number 4. We are here with Zoe Graham and Julen Santamaria. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves just briefly?
I am Zoe Graham. Sorry.
Yeah, let's introduce each other.
Yeah, actually, that would be like.
So you have the great pleasure this afternoon or evening or whenever you're choosing to listen to this of being joined by the one and only Zoe Graham.
And we also have the delightful pleasure of being joined by the frontman of Awkward Family Portraits himself. It is Mr. Julen Santamaria.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for coming. I'm going to kick this off by asking you guys, what have you been up to this unusual year we've just had? And have you done anything that's made you proud, or yeah, kind of what are you keeping from this year?
Cool. Shall I go first then?
I think so.
Go ahead.
Cool. Well, yeah, this year's been, as it has been for everyone, a super weird, crazy year. At the end of last year, I released the first song of my recent EP called Gradual Move, and the plans for that release were very, very different. There were going to be touring and live shows, and like any other EP release would have been, and then it totally flopped on its head, and suddenly we had to find ourselves doing completely different things. So when it all first started out, we took a little break from releasing all of the songs off of the EP, and I released a tune with a producer called Blissero, who now goes by Luke J. That's Luke Palmer. And we filmed a socially distant music video with that. We had people dancing from their windows and doing cool things like that. And then slowly throughout the rest of the year, I've been releasing the rest of the tracks individually, and then between all of that, mostly at the start of lockdown, I did a online bingo event that we hosted every Saturday night on Instagram Live, where instead of doing live stream gigs on a Saturday, we would come and everybody would come and play bingo. And yeah, that was super good fun. So that was that was all the kind of main things that I did during lockdown and COVID.
Amazing. Love the bingo. Big fan. What about yourself, Julen?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Zoe and most I suppose full-time musicians. We had a sort of we had a plan and sort of objective in sight, and it just feels like we had the kind of ground ripped from beneath our feet all of a sudden. A sort of option that we didn't know existed was just presented to us all. But we've been making do, just sort of doing what we can to just kind of stay afloat, staying creative, writing. I think we've done more writing than I'd give myself. I've done more writing personally than I'd give myself credit for, and I think as a unit as well, we've managed to do a great amount of work given the circumstances and the sort of the capacity that we have to work in now to accommodate coronavirus. But yeah, I think I went to college. I went to get ed. I figured that I should do something fruitful with my time, especially whilst I can't. Well, work. My work's kind of obsolete at the minute, with the exception of like live streaming and stuff like that, I suppose. But that's an art form in itself. I don't know how much time you've other than the bingo and stuff, of course. But I think it's almost degrading to an artist, just like to just be like, yeah, I'll do a live stream, and then you just go and do this kind of mediocre like sofa video on their phone, and everything just sounds kind of like a bit rubbish. Like, not to be rude, and I'm sorry if you've done that. I've done them as well. Like, but I think it can be detrimental to kind of release sort of content just for the sake of releasing it ultimately.
That's
Yeah, sorry, I feel like I've digressed, but
no.
I've retained sanity, I've stayed alive, and I was speaking to someone about it the other day actually, and it feels a bit like time travel because I'm a student again, I live with my dad, um, and I don't know what the fuck's going on.
That's actually quite a good transition into my next question. You haven't digressed at all, because I was going to ask, having all this extra time, so what has this changed for you? So we've had Julian's answer. Nice one. What about yourself, Zoe?
Yeah, it's changed a lot, and it's also not changed a lot. It's kind of like a weird double-edged sword in a way for me, because um like I, there's kind of like what yeah, really I hate going out and seeing people anyway, because it totally freaks me out and I get quite anxious and things like that. So the prospect at the start, when it would, especially when it was like, oh, 3 weeks lockdown and then we're back to normal, or supposedly, that kind of to me was like, oh, okay, well, we can do that, and I don't think it will last for that long. Even in the back of my head I was like, this is going to be for a long time. Part of me was kind of like, okay, yes, now I've got an excuse not to go out and see people, because then I can be in my little bubble in my flat and write songs and keep to myself, which is kind of like a safety net, I suppose. So in a way there was that was kind of fun in a way, but I then started to realize, especially recently, how important socializing and things like that actually is for me, and how much I do miss it, and how much um, how different my outlook on it all is now. I think that it's like, if I was going to an event, the whole time going there I'd be like, oh, so nervous for it. I'd be great once I got there, and I'd be happy, but all the time going there I'd be thinking, oh, I just wish I was like at home by myself and like I didn't need to go out and see people. Whereas now I feel like I've had all of that time, and now I can like go out and see people, and I've like, okay, I've done that now. I've stayed inside enough now. But yeah, it's changed a couple of things as well, with like musically, where before I was for the last couple of years I've been doing a lot of writing sessions. So I'd go to some stranger's house and write a song with them, and try and connect with them within a day, and they might be nice and make me a cup of coffee, or they might not be nice and we might never speak to each other again. But during that time I totally kind of neglected writing by myself. So this whole time has kind of changed that as well, where I've kind of fallen back into love with writing by myself. And now that the only other option for writing with other people is via Zoom virtually, it's like I've tried it and I don't particularly enjoy it. It's kind of like the live stream situation. So yeah, I've kind of fallen back into love with writing by myself, and I've also started to appreciate going and seeing people in flesh rather than just like not seeing them at all. Yeah, I think that's the two things that's properly changed that I can think of.
That's interesting, because it actually feeds into my next question, which was you're just keeping me
We're
rolling.
on fire.
It's like we've rehearsed this, because I was going to ask, having all this extra time and like obviously being in lockdown, like Zoe was talking, I was going to ask how your songwriting process had changed, because you both mentioned like writing more and that kind of thing, and so we have had some elements of response from Zoe on that, and I was wondering what you thought about that, Jill.
Yeah, I think I'm less I'm my sort of my writing is kind of seasonal or sporadic. It doesn't sort of occur. I don't have it sort of. It's not mechanical. I've not trained the machine, if you will, to be able to do it. Like I'm going to sit down and write songs now, or sort of like, which it sounds like a kind of cliched or corny thing to say, but they kind of just like it's like a yeah, like a bottle that's just has to pop, and then it all just like floods out and it's all there, and it's just trying to make that coherent. But I've been blessed with a couple of those hops. Yeah, terrible metaphor. But yeah, I think there was a time where I was like, I'd look to a lot of other musicians and I'd perpetually be like comparing myself and be like, how are they doing, getting so much shit done, and like I'm like, which is just I suppose I think it's a natural thing to do. I assume that based on the fact that I do it, but um, I think it's really easy to kind of to beat yourself up, and especially this time by seeing other people that are what appear to be high functioning. And I think it is symptomatic of what Zoe was addressing when she was saying that a lot of people are like totally in their element now. Like they don't have to do things like socializing, or they don't have to, which for them in the past might have been variables which kind of got in the way, which is a mad and kind of sad thing to say, as someone that I think for me, the novelty of generating music is the sort of scene and the community elements and the sort of uh, yeah, the social interactions. Like there's people that I think that I'm not going to recognize when we come out the other end of this. And similarly, I think people will walk right by me on the street, either because they don't want to talk to me or because they don't recognize me. But I think. Which is me addressing my appearance, obviously. As a, but yeah, I think it's a funny thing because it is a really sort of, I think you said it's double-edged sword. Like it's like it's annoying because some of it, parts of it are really great. I enjoy my own time. I think it's good. It's nice to have an excuse to not feel bad for not doing stuff. And I don't think, well, we might never get presented with that again in our lifetime. So I suppose in some ways that in itself is a blessing. But obviously, simultaneously, it's crap because like I don't know if or when I'm going to be able to work in the same capacity that I did, and or if the way that it worked will ever be like, if like people are saying that we're going to go back to the normal, but like what is normal anymore, you know what I mean? Like I think I think that's a really sort of, even that having that attitude and mentality is dangerous because you're just setting yourself up an expectation which might not actually be met.
Absolutely.
I think that as well, sorry, like
Go ahead.
Julian and I are kind of, in a way, obviously we're very similar in a lot of respects, but we're kind of chalk and cheese in the way that Julian is one of the most sociable people that I know. And actually, I wouldn't have met a bunch of my long-term friends if it weren't for Julian introducing me to a scene of musicians. But at the same time, I'm like quite opposite, where I would like to like be by myself. But I feel it's interesting how two different types of people who are both musicians can function in very similar but different ways within a global pandemic. How we're both kind of, we've got one ultimate goal, which is to get back to it, but we've both kind of gone about it in different ways.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
It's
fair.
like I like to think of it as like, it's like you've rocked up to like a bowling alley, and instead of giving you a ball, they've given you like a bat or like a sword or something, and you're like,
fair
what
football.
what do I do now?
Quite a good analogy. I
Like
like.
tennis, and they give you swords. That's maybe better.
Yeah. And
I don't want to kill them.
the question is now what you're going to do with these swords. Like, it's a good analogy because what I was going to say, how do you feel like the next year will pan out, and also where do you see yourselves? Like, what's your wild guess on where you're going to be exactly a year from now?
Um, I feel like I went first last time, so I'll let you go this time, Zoe.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. That's a kind of strangely, that's quite a daunting question actually, because I feel like I've kind of got into a bit of a rhythm. I finally got into a bit of a rhythm with it now, where I'm waking up early and I'm maybe going for a walk, or I've got a wee bit more of a routine and things like that. Whereas I feel like when things go back to normal, which in a way they shouldn't go back to normal, but I feel that I'm probably going to actually be quite overwhelmed by going back into a gig and going back into a social event. And the two gig type scenarios that I've had over lockdown have actually caused quite a lot of stress, because I realised, fuck, I've not actually done this in ages, and yeah, I just feel super rusty. But at the same time, it's like, again, I have also got such a learned that I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate gigs and social situations and things like that a lot more. So I know that there's not going to be any kind of holding me back. But I think it's difficult. Like, I've got a lot of like goals to, you know, like before lockdown, I basically had like a full set ready with a new band lineup, and like we had like an international show booked, and we had a whole bunch of things planned, and now that's gone down the drain. So like, yeah, I just want to polish up my David Byrne style stage show that I've been working on this whole time. Kidding on, I've like, as Julen said, it's funny, like this whole thing as well with comparing yourself to others during this time, because at the start there was this kind of necessity to, everybody's got to write a book, everybody's got to do something useful, and it was actually quite stressful, because that's just like, we're all just getting used to the new situation. But yeah, I although maybe from the outside it does seem like I've been quite productive, which I have been fairly productive, it's definitely not that. There's maybe like flagstones or like markers that, you know, maybe show, oh, we came out with a song, oh, a music video, oh, and bingo and whatever, but that's like 5% of it, where like the rest of it is like actually just trying to get through the day without like freaking out because I've not done anything, or it feels like I've not done anything. So yeah, I think we're all trying to get through it together in a kind of strange way. But yeah, I don't know what's going to come next. Probably getting used to the new normal again. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, I feel like Zoe's pretty much covered everything with regards to that. I think the reality of this all will be that it will be about learning how to function under these conditions, as opposed to working our way back to the old ones. I think that only time will tell ultimately. You know what I mean? In the same way that we didn't know that this was going to happen at all, like maybe in 5 years' time it will revert back to the way we knew it. But I mean, I don't know that. Hi there.
John.
I'm in the middle of something.
That.
This
Cramping my style since birth. But no, I lost my train of thought thanks to my dad. I'd actually text and I was like, "Come in when I'm fluffing." No, yeah, I think the reality of it will be is and it has been, is just learning how we can work in these circumstances. I think at the start, I think we were like, it's fine, we'll do everything online. The internet's fucking marvelous, and you can stream like that. And that's not how the internet works. You know what I mean? If we tried to play a song between the three of us and with like recorders simultaneously, it just would sound like Satan's farts. Like, it just wouldn't be good. But it's funny as well, and I was guilty of it as well. And it's the only way that I realized is like, you see all these like, you see all these like amazing live streams that look so polished and amazing, and you're like, oh my god, like that's like, we need to do that. And the sad reality is that all these things have been pre-recorded, and sort of like there's so much like pre-production, and it's marketed as a live stream or a live performance, but like, it's you can't achieve that quality if you're just if it's going out like unanimously, or like the second it's that sort of performance is emitted. I think as to my awareness, the technology isn't there to do that, at least with like a band setup. I think like minimal setups, I've seen some people do it great, like Zoe Bastel, name drop. She does a live stream every Wednesday, and I think in my eyes she's the live stream queen.
Yeah, but you know what's so good about it is that, like, she's, however long she's on for, most that this is going to sound like super nasty because it's not, but she doesn't actually play for a lot of it. Like obviously Zoe's amazing and her music's incredible, but so much of it is her just kind of like chatting to people, answering comments, you know, does it doing her giveaway. The last time I tuned in, she was doing like a cheese and wine tasting and she hadn't played for like 15 minutes. So yeah, like there's kind of more to it than just like, oh, and then my next song is
Exactly. And it goes, sorry, not to cut through you there, but it goes back to what I was saying earlier in that like live streaming in itself is like an art form. Like you can be a wonderful musician but crap at live streaming or just not know what you're doing or like not have the know-how to do it. And I think now's probably the time that a lot of people are going to find that out or have found it out. I mean, I sure as hell know that I'm doing things to consciously always improve my setup in the hopes that I could exercise that. But it is a really like it's a time consuming thing, and like I know from speaking to people that do it regularly that it is like taxing. It's like a graft, and similarly, I know that it can be fruitful and it's like really rewarding, and it is like it's positive to see that people can do that. And I did one the other day, for example, actually, and like I couldn't remember. Like it's the first time I've been so aware of the like euphoria that you experience from playing music, and I'm just sitting here playing to a screen. But the fact that I felt like this sort of like I knew that there was people watching me and engaging, and they'd taken time out of their day to just to watch me strum my guitar and sing, um, was like amazing. And that's such a like foreign thing, and I forgot how much I needed that sensation. Like I didn't realize how much it woke up all the bones in my body. But yeah, I do greatly anticipate being able to. Well, I don't know. I think I look forward to kind of fading it back in. I feel like I kind of went from one extreme to the other. I was like doing music if and when all the time to now it's kind of I've been like yeah, just forced to put on the brakes a wee bit or a lot.
Yeah, cool, good answer. I'm actually kind of at the end of my kind of set of questions. I was just kind of going to ask,
Yeah, freestyle.
can you do a freestyle? No.
Yes, but you don't want to see it.
I was kind of deciding what my last question was going to be. I was tied between asking, what is the title of the song that you wrote during lockdown that you like the best? And I think I'll go with that, actually. I think I'll just go with that. It's a nice closing question. And if you have anything else you'd like to add, fire it. And you have 5 minutes, go.
All right. I I've written a lot of songs that don't have names yet, so it's I've kind of made that easy for myself with my inability to name songs quickly. Uh, so I've written one song that I have written, which is for me is my personal sort of COVID anthem. Is a song I wrote called "These Four Walls." I believe that there's like 100 million songs under the sun with that name, or there are that variant. As I found out, I played it at the live stream I was talking about earlier for Buskers of Glasgow, Busker Fest 3 Lockdown 2 Electric Avenue. I don't know if I actually remembered that when I did the stream, but I remembered it now, so my brain isn't totally useless. Um, but the point I was making, I channeled all my energy into remembering that, and we've got precious moments. Um, I've totally wondered. Oh, these four walls. Awkward Family Portraits. We've got new music that are coming out. I feel like this is maybe the time that I should do the bit of shameless pluggery. But Awkward Family Portraits have been considering the circumstances, writing, creating, and we're going to have some new music in the new year, which I am sincerely very enthusiastic about sharing with the world.
Amazing. I'm super excited to hear that.
Yeah, same. Cool. Okay. Well, my favorite song that I've got a little quarantine SoundCloud list playlist that I've made. My favorite one that was like my last co-write, I went down to London like 2 days before lockdown was announced, and it was like super scary and weird, and I was in this man's shed and everything was kicking off. but not, yeah, that sounds like a totally good story, but yeah, yeah, and it's called Dinner, and Connor Smith plays a bit of lap steel on it, like pedal steel on it. We got him to do that, which is awesome. I love that one.
I love Connor Smith.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good at what he does. Yeah, so that's called Dinner, and then my favorite one I've written. I've been writing one recently, but it's not really got a title. Kind of sounds like a New York by St. Vincent kind of situation. Don't know what the title is going to be. Something about a dog, but not sad.
With
like the rest of my songs.
Cool. Julen, favorite title.
With or bark would be my suggestions. They're just off the top of my head. They're good dog related
Yeah.
words. Do they qualify as words?
It sounds like a Portraits tune.
With bark.
With Angus.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I think that's been us. Unless you have anything to add in the minute that we have left.
I just want to say how much of a real pleasure it's been to see Zoe again. It's been a long time.
I know we've not talked about not speaking to anyone throughout the whole.
I know this is the first time that we've maybe like sporadic Facebook messages. I think I would like send like random thoughts or things that just come into my head or the opportunities that appear. I'm like, oh, how's I think was it yourself? I feel like I just like spam you with a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, and how are you?
Oh, I think I'm just going to say a wee bye before I get cut. Thank you guys for coming. Tune in to the next episodes. Thank you.
If there's anything that we can ever do for you in future, let us know. That's the correct response. Well done. You can cut out like 50% of my jokes. I think only like 4 of them were actually funny.
I might just keep all of them.
Zoe, we should speak soon.